Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a story that's shaking the foundations of Russia's military and exposing cracks within the Kremlin's walls. Across Moscow, whispers have turned into open dissent. Russian generals once seen as loyal pillars of Vladimir Putin's power are starting to question his decisions, his leadership, and the direction in which the country is heading. The Kremlin may try to silence the truth, but the growing unrest within the ranks of its own military can no longer be hidden. Over the last few months, reports from inside Russia have painted a disturbing picture. Commanders on the front lines of the Ukraine war are increasingly frustrated with the Kremlin's unrealistic demands and endless propaganda. Many of them have watched their troops die in battles that make no strategic sense, all because Putin refuses to admit mistakes. Behind closed doors, anger is rising. Russian generals are no longer whispering their doubts, they're starting to speak out. Even if it costs them everything, this crisis of confidence didn't appear overnight. Since the invasion of Ukraine began, Putin has maintained an iron grip on military communication, controlling what can be said, who can be blamed, and how the story must be told. But years of failure, sanctions, and humiliation have eroded that control. Every new defeat, every destroyed tank column, every lost city adds more pressure on generals who know the truth but are forced to lie. Many of them now realize that the Kremlin's narrative of unstoppable strength is collapsing under the weight of reality. According to insiders, tension between Putin and his top commanders is reaching levels not seen since the Soviet Union's final years. Some generals have openly refused to sign off on reckless operations pushed by Moscow. Others have been quietly removed, reassigned, or even arrested under vague accusations of corruption or betrayal. The Kremlin calls it discipline, but in truth, it's fear of losing control over an army that's growing tired of being blamed for a war it never wanted to fight in the first place. For the Russian military elite, loyalty to Putin has always been a double-edged sword. On one hand, it guaranteed privilege, power, and protection. On the other, it meant obedience to decisions that often made no military sense. When the war began, most of them believed Ukraine would fall quickly. They trusted Putin's intelligence, his confidence, his promises. But what followed was a disaster that no one could deny. The war dragged on, casualties mounted, and sanctions strangled the economy. Now, many generals feel trapped, caught between loyalty to their leader and the responsibility to their soldiers. Inside Russia's Ministry of Defense, private arguments have erupted over strategy. Some generals insist on withdrawing from impossible positions, others push for negotiations to stop the bloodshed. But the Kremlin refuses to hear any talk of retreat or compromise. Putin's pride has become a weapon, one that destroys not only Ukraine's cities but Russia's own future. And the people around him, the ones who know the truth, are growing restless. They see the empire they swore to defend slowly breaking apart. Recent intelligence leaks suggest that several high-ranking officers have been quietly meeting outside of official channels, discussing how to manage the chaos if Putin's control falters. Western analysts believe that a silent power struggle is already underway. Some generals want to protect Russia's military institutions from collapse. Others might be positioning themselves for the day when the Kremlin finally loses its grip. Either way, what was once unthinkable is now a real possibility. The fragmentation of Putin's inner circle. This growing dissent is not only military, it's ideological. Many in Russia's armed forces feel betrayed by a system that treats them as expendable. Soldiers returning from the front describe being under-equipped, underpaid, and misled. They speak of commanders who vanished after failures, of orders that make no sense, and of lies told to the public to keep morale alive. Meanwhile, generals who dared to question the system risk disappearing overnight. Some have already been detained, others are rumored to be under surveillance or house arrest. The Kremlin's response to these tensions has been predictable: deny everything and tighten control. State media continues to portray unity and strength. Putin appears on camera with his defense minister, pretending that all is well, but the truth is leaking out faster than the Kremlin can contain it. Telegram channels, military bloggers, and even state-affiliated reporters have begun hinting at the infighting. They talk about failures in logistics, about missing funds, and about top generals being replaced without explanation. The message is clear: the cracks are spreading. For Putin, this is the nightmare scenario he has always feared. Division among his generals. His power has always depended on absolute loyalty from those beneath him. He built a system where questioning his orders was seen as treason. But now, as the war drags on and the losses mount, even the most loyal officers are beginning to realize that blind obedience might destroy the country they vowed to protect. In their eyes, Putin's obsession with victory at any cost has turned into a path of national ruin.